We are highly professional today at the Barrett and Baxa Media Schmedia podcast, and we welcome you to our podcast. We also invite you to do everything that we like you to do, which is like us, subscribe to us, comment to us. Even if you don't like us, please comment. Whatever you need to do. Yeah, welcome, Steve Barrett and Bob Baxa here with you today. And Bob, give them a little taste of what they might see and hear coming up.
All right, today, of course, we screwed up again and got the TikTok world mad at us. There are many TikTokers
easy to do
that are angry with us. The Texas Democrats are still not at work. They are somehow at work in a different state, so we'll talk about that. We have a name for you. You people now have an official name. It's extremely exciting. We will tell you about that. The late night TV wars were in the news this week. And of course, as always, South Park is open. That and pet peeves and lots of other ranting and complaining by me coming up on today's episode of Barrett and Baxa Media Schmedia.
Welcome to Barrett and Baxa Media Schmedia. Everyone else has a podcast, why not us? Come along and join the chosen few as we mock the media and ridicule the ridiculous. Get ready as we excite the ears, irritate the eyes, and tantalize the taste buds. Okay, maybe not the taste buds, but you get the point. Let's get the party started. Here's Steve Barrett and Bob Baxa.
All right, welcome back to the Barrett and Baxa Media Schmedia podcast. Here we are. We're starting. We're very professional. Apparently, I said South Park is open. I don't know where
South Park is open. Open
it is
for
open,
business.
But I wanted to say it's awesome. I don't know why I would have said it's open, but all right, whatever. What are we starting with?
We're going to start with, well, usually, I mean, I like doing the high-low thing. It sort of starts us off on a very, very nice thing. You want to go first?
Well, my high was going to the Taste of Leesburg last night. This is a fantastic festival in Leesburg, Virginia. You pay one price, and then you walk around with a little cup, and they fill your cup with any kind of alcohol you want. And so you get very drunk if you want to. And we had a designated driver that we used last night. So
nice.
I had a great time.
So how are you feeling this morning?
I'm not too bad. I already went to the gym, so I made it up, went to the gym. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you're a gym guy, aren't you?
Yeah. So we had a great time last night, me and the best girl, and I'm not going to do a low because I have no lows this week. It's been a great week. So
yeah,
when
that
I
is
have
a good
low,
time when you don't have a low.
Yeah,
not having a low is a very good thing.
Right.
All right. So let me see. My high is that Kamala apparently, like, we made fun of Kamala talking to herself and we didn't know what she was doing. And apparently you put that up on TikTok and everyone tells you that that's a trend. How do you not know what that is? That's a trend. So my high is that I didn't know. I'm not some idiot TikToker who sits on TikTok all the time and knows all the dumb trends. I do have a friend I need to shout out to, Scott King. Scott's a great guy, but I'm a little disappointed because Scott actually was one of the people that said, hey, that's an internet trend. And I'm like, come on, Scott. Come on.
What is the trend? Can you explain? Like,
apparently
you know?
Talk about yourself and then you turn and go, "Who said that?" Like, it's the dumbest thing ever.
That
like
is so dumb.
The TikTok trends. If you know your TikTok trends, you need a life. You have no life.
Right.
Like,
and sadly,
I'm sorry, but if you're teasing someone for not knowing a TikTok trend, you're the idiot.
Yes,
I mean, there's no two ways about it, man.
You're goofing on someone because they have a life and didn't spend all their time on TikTok this week. But I do actually know some things from TikTok because I do watch it a lot. Like, I know that girl with Tourette's who says, you're done, or she got big old titties. There's a girl, she's a young girl who
she's got a show on Lifetime or one of these networks also.
So I know certain TikTok things. I did not know this Kamala Harris thing. And I'm also proud that I did not know it. But the thing about all these comments, and we've talked about this, the commenters always, when they comment, they always point out our race and our age. They constantly say, these old white guys are so stupid. What do these old white guys know?
Our age, our race,
and our gender.
So
right. And
three things.
It's fine if you think we suck. Like, I have no problem with the suckiness part of it, but I don't think our suckiness has anything to do with our skin color. Like, I think we would, if we were black, we would suck the same amount if we did suck. So I just don't think it's related.
I love that all of these kids, they have a generic term for old people, which is boomers. Oh,
Right.
boomer. Like,
Yes.
and they think that we get upset when they insult us. They think that we're little snowflakes like they are. No,
Right.
I was in the schoolyard getting my ass beat and beating ass, like until you had a bloody nose and a
Right.
chipped tooth and like
Yeah.
your head aches and your fist is all scarred up. Like
Right.
I literally grew up like the opposite of the little snowflakes in the world. So
Right.
I don't think the little snowflakes can like bother us.
No, definitely not. And that you make a good point. A little known aspect of fighting is how many small fragile bones are in the human hand and how
Yeah.
hard the average skull is. Because punching someone with your hand is often going to do more damage to your hand than it is going to do to the other person's skull. I actually broke my hand in a fight sophomore year in high school.
I actually did that multiple times. Broke my
Broke a
hand
bone in my
multiple
hand.
times.
But anyway,
But,
to clear
anyway,
up, we are not boomers. All right,
Yeah.
we are Gen X. Gen
Which
X
is the best.
from the best generation from 1965 to 1980. Steve and I are both firmly in the Gen X category. We are the best generation. We're the last generation that made it all the way into adulthood with no internet, and I think that it really does
Makes
make
a big difference.
Like, the internet is ruining people.
And the other thing, like, come on, kids, you know damn well that we brought you the best music,
True.
the best fashion,
Yes.
the best movies. I mean,
Totally.
you cannot top our contribution to societal or to, you know,
Something.
to
Society.
whatever the hell it is. Anyway, hey,
you're
listen,
looking
let me get my low in here real quick. My low is also a stupid internet trend, which I'm tired of. Scott King
is it?
pointed out that I was making fun of myself for following an internet trend while not knowing about the internet trend that Kamala
Right.
was doing. And the new internet trend is I thought it was cool that they were doing AI babies, and now there's this new trend of interviewing an AI baby. So the baby podcast was awesome. The interviewing babies has gotten
Right.
so stupid so fast. So there you go. All right. So Bob, do you want to explain what the new name for our listeners is? Okay.
They're called Pwiltops. Pwiltop. Pwiltop. It's
no
pronounced
I. There's no
Pwiltop.
I. It's
No,
just
there's no I.
PWL.
Pwiltop, and it's pronounced Pwiltop. And
Pwiltops.
what that means is people who listen to our podcast. So you
Pwiltops.
guys are Pwiltops. And the great thing about this is that if you identify as one person or if you identify as multiple people, the P stays
still
the same.
works.
So it can be person or people who listen to our podcast.
So for the
Pwiltop
they
is
thems that
good
love our
for
podcast,
they, them,
they-
absolutely.
Right. They got
If you're
it.
a furry, if
Pwiltops,
you're
welcome.
everything. Welcome, Pwiltops. We love you, and please keep Pwiltopping. Can you use it as a verb?
quill-topping.
I think you can.
I think, yeah.
You can quill
Quill
top,
top.
yeah.
Let's go quill topping today. What are you doing? Oh, I'm quill topping.
I'm going Pwiltopping. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, cool.
All right, good.
Nice.
All right, we're getting into Texas toast right now. I call it Texas toast. They're cooking it up in Texas. So all of these state legislators are still absent in Texas
Right.
as Texas tries to redistrict, or as if you hate redistricting, you call it gerrymandering.
And
Same
let's not
thing.
forget, most of them are staying for free in luxury Hyatt hotel suites because J.B. Pritzker, that gigantic fatso governor of Illinois,
He's not as big as he used to be. I
did he
think
lose
he's
weight?
losing some weight. Yeah,
All right, maybe
good for
he's
him.
on Ozempic. He is the heir of the Hyatt hotel chain, so he has put a lot of them up in Hyatt hotels in suites because nothing says you're a man of the people quite like staying in a luxury Hyatt hotel suite in downtown Chicago. But the thing about this is that Democrats are mad. Democrats always get mad if Republicans do something that they
did already?
traditionally done. And this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
January 6th. Like, the reason they lost their minds about January 6th is because it's like, wait a minute, Political
riot.
violence is our thing. We're the ones who riot and
We
break
take over
everything.
capitals.
Yeah, destroy cities and attack police. Like, that's our thing. And the fact that you guys are still talking about
Like
it
we
5 years
break
later,
down the front doors at CNN. We take over the
Correct.
Wisconsin state capitol. Not you.
Correct.
You can't
Right.
do it. Yeah.
So
and
this
that's why
is-
that's why I was disappointed, because
What?
I said, look, we aren't the party of dumbass riots
Right.
and invading the state capitol, or in this
Right.
case the US Capitol. And it's so
Right.
funny because the exact same thing happened in Wisconsin, in Madison,
the State
Wisconsin.
House.
Like a year earlier, the state house was overrun. All of the state representatives and state senators had to, basically run out the back door and
yes.
evacuate the building. The
Right.
precise thing happened, and it was the left doing it in Wisconsin.
was a
But then a year
non-story.
later, right, and it was
Yeah.
it was a non-story. And even CNN, even when they broke down the front doors of CNN and invaded the lobby at CNN headquarters in Atlanta, like even then it was okay, and CNN was like, yeah, we can hear them, they're right outside of the studio door, and we have police protecting us right now as they're trying to burn the CNN building down. Like CNN was sort of okay with that. That's all right, they're mad.
Right, it's fine. But and the thing is, I don't. You could say it's hypocrisy, but I forget who says this. There's somebody that I listen to, a right wing talk show guy. He says it's not hypocrisy, it's hierarchy. And what that means is, in their minds, when they do the exact same thing, it's okay because it's them doing it. So like redistricting, gerrymandering is bad when Republicans do it. If Democrats do it, well, then it's good because it's being done by Democrats. Rioting is good when done by the left because it's in furtherance of a good cause. Rioting done by the right, that's automatically bad. So even though
they don't like
Illinois
a
is
taste of their own medicine.
Oh, they hate their own medicine.
Listen,
they don't
Bob,
want their medicine at
I've
all.
got a video to share that's a
right,
perfect
nice.
example of both of these things. They don't like their medicine. This is sort of an invasion at the Capitol, and it also happened while MSNBC was covering the Texas toast story.
Have you been able to keep tabs on what's happening there? Can you bring us an update?
We just watched the speaker gavel out with a whole lot of anger, Kelly. Here's the state of play. Here's
MSNBC sucks.
Hey, how are you?
MSNBC sucks.
Can I talk to you for a second?
MSNBC sucks.
You can see.
Okay.
You can see the frustration.
Sometimes this happens, and we understand that can happen. And while we love free speech, we're going to keep control here. So, Ron.
And
There's
the guy
a little
was
taste of
he
their
was
own
well
medicine.
dressed. He was
Yeah,
in, like,
that's a
suit.
comedian named Alex Stein.
Oh,
And
that's Alex Stein?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Alex Stein. So he
I know
ran
who
up
he
and,
is.
and said MSNBC sucks. So,
Nice.
again, taste of their own medicine happened
Yeah.
at the state capitol in Austin, Texas, as they were
Nice.
trying to do a live report. And
I'm surprised
yes,
that doesn't happen more often.
we do kind of agree that MSNBC sucks. Of
MSNBC does suck.
all of them, it's like the New York Times is the top of the left-leaning media problem in
Right.
our country. MSNBC in broadcasting is the top tier of that. And we're going to get into the whole media bias thing with an interview that happened with a former Washington Post reporter who told Mark Halperin this week that there is no media bias at all, which is funny. Glenn Kessler, and so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But it's amazing that people on the left still think that there is no media bias on the left.
It's crazy.
It's just fascinating. So, all right, back to the Texas thing.
Okay.
So, and it's all about the census in a way, and I don't know if censuses is a word or if it should be censi, but the census happens like every 10 years, right, at the kind of top of the decade. So 2000, 2010, 2020, and then by about 2002 or so, all the state legislatures come together and they redraw the districts in their states based on how many people have moved to the state or died or moved out of the state, so on and so forth. So they have to redraw the lines. So it normally happens once every 10 years in about in the year 2 of the decade. Well, this time
Right.
Texas is doing it again in
Right.
reaction to the gerrymandering that happened in what you pointed out. It was like 8 different states have.
Yeah. We had that chart, and it is like 8 different Democrat states have done this. So it's just the Democrats are so full of shit. They've always done it, and they're just mad when Republicans do a thing that they've done. Redistricting, gerrymandering, whatever you want to call it, it's a fact of life. It's always done. If you look, you can find these maps online. Some of these districts, they're like, there's like a part up here and then a tiny line and a part over here and a part over here. And it's like, it's clearly drawn because there's a group of people living over here, whether they're black or Hispanic or white. You're trying to get this group and this group to be in the same district. Everyone does it. It's very well known. It's very common. There's nothing unusual about what's happening in Texas. But again, they're just pissed because it's Republicans. That's
Look,
it.
here is that list right here. You ought to be seeing it right now, the list that we're talking about. So, Bob, take a look at this. This is that chart that you're talking about.
Yes.
On your screen there.
Maryland redo the 6th district. Illinois eliminated 2 GOP seats. New York drew a map for 22-4 Democrat seats, which was struck down by the courts. It was so crazy. California alleged Democrat tilt via commission, yielding 44-3 safe seats. In other words, 44 Democrat seats, 3 Republican seats, whatever that percentage is, even though California, a very deep blue state, has like 35% of their people voting Republican.
But they don't have 35% of their representatives in Congress. That's the whole thing.
Correct.
So this is the whole list. But if you notice the numbers, so this is 21, 21, 21, 21, 21. This is the argument that Democrats are making that this shouldn't be done in the middle of the decade.
Right.
And
I know that.
It's actually prompting the Trump administration to make claims that, well, the census is inaccurate anyway, and maybe we should redo the census because the census
Also
is
true.
overloaded with illegal immigrants, which is
Correct.
going to skew things.
And also, even NPR, I mean, far left, radical, lunatic NPR, admits that the 2020 census, the last one we just had, which was during the pandemic, it was skewed and there were dramatically wrong counts. And here's the funny thing. It just coincidentally happens that the states that were undercounted are Republican states, and the states that were overcounted were Democrat states, which I'm sure is just a coincidence. And even NPR admits it's something like 3 to 5% wrong on the count. When you're talking about 20 million, 3% is hundreds of thousands of people. And that is going to change a seat. It's going to change several seats.
Yeah, if you want to look, here's the article where NPR is actually talking about that. It's a March 9th, 2022 article. So this has been out here, and it gets into the accuracy or not. The first line is, no census in the U.S. has been perfect. So exactly how imperfect is the head count? This article gets into
open
it. So
to
if
debate, but
so you can go look up that
3 to
article that
5%
I'm
is
showing
what I've
right
been
now.
told.
Sure. 3 to 5%. So it's off.
And look how close the House is, and this is why this matters. The Republicans only have I think it's a 6 or 7 seat advantage, whatever that number is. We're not super aware of politics here. We're mostly just making.
Nor
fun of
are we
politics.
super accurate.
Correct. We're not looking to be super accurate. So
I
if you're
ceased to be a
coming here-
journalist years ago.
Right. We're just here to make fun of things. But it's a very narrow advantage in the House for Republicans. So, all it takes is a couple of seats here, a couple of seats there, and the whole thing is different. It goes from a 6-seat advantage to a 12-seat advantage, which makes it a lot easier to get shit done. So it really does matter.
Yeah,
The
I mean, we
census
see it every
matters.
day that, a couple of congressmen are absent or a couple of congressmen get sick or they're fighting cancer or something like that
Right.
happens. and son. And this is why on the Democrat side, it seems they are much more likely to just leave some older person in office no matter how long it is. And maybe that's why they did it with Biden, because they were like, okay, we've done it with senators, we've done it with congressmen. Yes. They basically just sit there and hold the seat, even though they can't walk, they can't think, they can't talk.
Dianne
they can't
Feinstein.
They can't make a phone call. They can't do anything. Right? And then they just go, oh, you need to hold that seat until you die. And so these poor people never get to retire. Right. And go to the beach.
Exactly.
Like Joe Biden, he's not able to retire, and now he's fighting cancer at his age and has dementia and never had a nice retirement. I feel bad for him for that.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's what he wanted to do. He wanted the power. He wanted to hold on to the power.
Another thing that happened this week was a very, very good interview on a podcast that we like called Next Up with Mark Halperin.
Yes.
And you cannot say that Mark Halperin is a conservative, because he's not.
He's not at all.
But he's right down the middle. And if anything, you would say that he is a Democrat, because
he's a classic Democrat.
Yeah.
Like the way Democrats used to be before they went crazy. I love him because he does this all the time. He said, if Trump does something right, he says, that thing that Trump did was fantastic. Even though he is absolutely not MAGA, he's not a Trump supporter, he will say Trump did this, this, and this correctly. And then he'll turn around and say, but he effed up this, this, and this. And then he'll turn around and say, the Democrats effed up this and this. They did this and this correctly. Like, he just tells the truth, and I feel like I can trust him. I really do. He's really good.
So he's talking. So what he did this week is he looked at the Substacks, which, if you don't know, Substack is sort of a place for independent journalists to post stories, and it's just an independent story, and you can pay for a lot of them charge for their Substacks, and it's a way for a lot of journalists, a lot of times, that have been fired
I was
for
just
being
about to
bad
say, it's
journalists.
where Terry Moron goes when he gets fired. He goes to Substack. Or Jim Acosta.
Terry Moron was one of the people that Halperin was talking about, that he now has a Substack after being fired from ABC. Also, Glenn Kessler, who wasn't fired from the Washington Post, but left the Washington Post. Took the buyout and left.
Yep.
And so he is talking about him, and then at one point talking to him. So the first clip I am going to play is Mark Halperin talking about what he's reading on these two guys' Substacks. So let me share this with you, and we'll play a little bit of his podcast.
The guy writing the Pinocchios presumably might want to call out his own organization for some Pinocchios when they deny liberal bias. But also they're trying to sell their Substacks now, right? And maybe they think this will get attention. Certainly gotten my attention. Maybe they feel not just unshackled, but looking to be truth tellers belatedly. But I'll say again, it's not enough to say our audience is liberal. It's not enough to say our newsroom is liberal. You got to talk about the implications of that. And as I've said, the implications are threefold in my view, primarily, although there's a lot of other implications. One implication is you're not doing your job. You're fundamentally failing at your job. And organizations that fundamentally fail over the long term, they don't survive. That's just basic about society. Number two, you're helping Donald Trump. And again, this is the great irony. You're helping Donald Trump by, I can't tell you the number of people who've come on two-way and I've talked to over the years who've said, I don't much like Trump. I have a lot of problems with him personally. I don't like all his policies. But the liberal media bias is so overwhelming because it sets the terrain for everything else, for the prosecutions of Trump, for the attempted assassinations of Trump, for policy disputes. He said, I got to vote for Trump because I got to send a message to the liberal media. They can't get away with it. And the last
number three, because he makes such good points there.
Yes.
That the liberal media doesn't. I don't understand how the liberal media doesn't understand that they're helping Trump, and that if they really feel like, hey, we do not like Trump, we don't want him in office, we don't like his policies, but they don't understand that they're actually helping get him in office and keep him in office.
100%. And let me just talk about me. The whole way that I've come to become a Trump supporter. In the beginning, in 2015, when Trump was running against Jeb Bush and I forget all there was 10 or 12 Republicans on the stage, and it's that famous debate where Trump like insults all of them and no one can believe these things he's saying. I thought that Trump was a sideshow. I thought he was a joke. I thought he was just kind of a clown, not even so much a clown. I was just like, this guy's a reality TV star. I don't even think he's serious about being president. He's doing this as a goof. He's trying to get clicks for his latest book or or The Apprentice or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I saw the media. And I saw it, lie after lie after lie. You know, when they came out with the Very Fine People hoax, which Trump clearly said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. He clearly excluded them, and then the media cut that out of the freaking tape and said, Trump called Nazis very fine people, which he did not do.
So,
and there was just lie after lie. You guys, you made me a Trump supporter by behaving like this, just what Mark Halperin was saying. The media did it.
But they can't reflect on themselves and say, hey, wait a second, what are we doing here? And really the answer for them is to say, okay, well, let's just be fair journalists, which is actually just being a journalist. Being a fair journalist is like an oxymoron because a journalist should be fair. If you are not a fair journalist, you are not a journalist. If you're not an unbiased journalist and you don't argue against your own personal bias, you're not a journalist. You're just a hack. So these people are filled. These newsrooms are just filled with hacks at this point.
Correct.
Yeah, you're an opinion guy. You should be in the opinion page.
There's nothing wrong with an opinion guy. Sean Hannity on Fox. He's not a journalist. He's an opinion guy. So he's allowed to take a position. But the problem is that all the journalists became opinion guys because they hated Trump so much that they allowed it to completely destroy their credibility. And that's where we are now, and they can't go back. And we're going to talk about the warning signs of a cult in a little bit. And I'm telling you, the Trump derangement cult is absolutely a cult. It fits virtually every warning sign of a cult you can find in the Trump derangement. They cannot stop, and they're too deep into it now.
All right, before we move on from this subject, we're going to play the other clip. This is actually Glenn Kessler trying to explain away why the Washington Post and their newsroom, not their opinion department, not the op-ed department, but the newsroom itself, why most of America considers them left-leaning and hard left-leaning and anti-Trump. So
should we just say real quick, Glenn Kessler was the fact checker. He had a fact checker column at the Washington Post, and he would give out Pinocchios. That was their little shtick. If you told a small lie, it was one Pinocchio. If it was a massive lie, it was 4 Pinocchios. And they gave Trump something like 10,000 different 4 Pinocchio thing, an insane amount. Everything Trump
many
said
of them which have proven to be true. Right.
100%.
But they didn't go back and un-Pinocchio him.
No. Or if they do, what they do is the accusation is on the front page in giant type. And then the correction is on B17 at the bottom, like next to the obituaries. I mean, has always been like that.
All right. Let's listen to Kessler in his own words.
You've never read a political story or a governmental story in the Washington Post and said, boy, I could see why conservatives would be pissed off by that.
I
shouldn't say never. Let me phrase it a different way. Okay. As I say often, half the country thinks the Washington Post is extremely biased against Republicans and extremely, extremely biased against Donald Trump, and that it impacts Donald Trump, his chance of winning elections and governing. Do you reject that premise completely?
Yes, I do reject that premise. And having been in that newsroom, I believe, I am not excusing times when we messed up, but I often say, I believe I often say that it's not incompetence. I'm sorry. It's not conspiracy. It's incompetence. That's when newspapers, make a mistake.
Right. So, Glenn,
that's the part that we wanted there.
Yes. Here's the thing. That statement is the one true thing that this guy said. In first of all,
you think that's true, that it's not conspiracy,
No,
it's just incompetence?
I believe, first of all, men, when you're like 70 years old, men, please stop dyeing your hair. I mean, it just looks so freaking stupid. This guy is clearly 70. He doesn't have a gray hair on his head. Everyone goes gray. I mean, seriously, look at Steve. That's
why they call us boomers.
Stop.
That's why they confuse us with boomers.
Men should not be dyeing their hair. Anyway, so I believe that there is some truth in that it can be incompetence and not conspiracy. But this interview is very frustrating, and Mark Halpern got frustrated many times. He even said over and over, I'm really getting frustrated, and I know my listeners are, because this guy kept saying that he truly does not believe the media is biased. And he's like, look, we didn't have a meeting in the newsroom where we said, we need to get Trump. And it's like, dude, no shit, Sherlock. Nobody thinks that you had a meeting where someone said, all right, on today's agenda, getting Trump. Number 2, how will we get Trump? And number 3, how should we F Trump up? Like, no one thinks that.
Right, they set it up so it happens organically.
Organically, you're all liberals. You all come from Harvard and Yale.
Right, it happens when they hire the person.
Same shit.
It happens when they hire the person. They make sure that they don't hire someone who
Correct.
Excuse my cough, and they do it. And with social media, it's a lot easier to do that in a newsroom, because all you have to do is go back and look at someone's Facebook post, TikTok, X, whatever. If they're on Blue Sky, go ahead and hire them. If they're on that new liberal version of X.
Or remember, during COVID, if someone had that stupid little COVID ribbon, like, we can do this together, let's get vaccinated. If you had that, then you can get a job at the Washington Post. If you see a MAGA hat anywhere in your
or
entire
any
Facebook
friend,
thing,
any picture with a friend who has a MAGA hat,
you don't get hired. So once you have the hiring process like that, you don't need to have a meeting. How are we going to get Trump? You know they hate Trump, and you know they're going to follow with the program. So that's why. And this, Mark Halpern actually said to him, he asked him about the New York Times. He was like, as a reader, obviously you didn't work at the New York Times. As a reader, did you ever say to yourself, gosh, this article sure does seem like it's biased towards, in favor of liberals? And Glenn Kessler was like, no, as a reader, I never saw that. It's like, dude, you're fucking high, bro. Like, it's so obvious that there's a bias. Everyone knows it. Everyone. And you're a liar if you say it's not there.
Okay, well, and here's a good example of that. I'm going to share one more time. This is a great video that gives you a good example of that media bias.
The walls feel like they are closing in.
But as the walls close in around the president,
Donald Trump feels the walls closing in.
I think this is a guy who feels like the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on him?
Because the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on the president.
Now the walls appear to be closing in.
Really kind of the walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in because the walls are indeed closing in.
I think at this point, the walls are spinning.
The legal walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on President Trump.
The walls.
Okay, enough of that. It goes on and on.
Spin?
Yeah,
she said the walls are
but it goes
spinning.
on, and if you weren't,
spin a wall?
If you're just listening and you're not watching, that obviously was just a bunch of media pundits and journalists, so-called journalists, saying, repeating the same thing. 2017, 2018. Clearly, it wasn't true. The walls never closed in.
Never did.
So why not wait until something happens before you predict what you think is going to happen? You're not doing journalist. Yeah, well, yeah, what you want to happen. So you're not being journalist, and what you're doing is you're pushing people like you from the left, because you went from far left to far right. Okay?
Well, I don't even think I'm far right, but I became a Trump supporter because of shit like this, because of the media doing every single person.
I know you don't hold far right like social. No,
I'm very liberal socially. Yeah,
socially, you're very liberal. Anyway,
totally. I say do what you want.
All right, let's move on to South Park, because South Park made fun of a couple of people, and they had very different reactions. And it's interesting because one of the reactions was a very conservative reaction, and one of the reactions was not what I would consider a very conservative reaction. So in the latest episode, they made fun of both Charlie Kirk and Kristi Noem. Okay. Charlie Kirk loved it. Kristi Noem
which you should.
Did not. I'm going to play. So let's get to another clip here. I'm going to show you Charlie Kirk responding to his own depiction on South Park. Here we go.
Were you honored?
Not only was I honored, they got the little sip of the water correctly. They got the hairdo. The little details are perfect. And look, South Park, they can be very nasty towards a lot of people. That just goes to show the impact, the cultural power of what we've been able to do at Turning Point USA, the billions of views, how we're able to get so many young people on board for conservative values. And this movement that President Trump has built on campuses across the country is just remarkable. And so it is a great honor.
That's the reaction of Charlie Kirk to it.
Right.
And it's funny because they did make fun of him. In fact, they said his whole line through the whole thing was, "I'm a master debater."
Master debater.
And so then he had the Charlie Kirk Awards for master debaters.
For young master debaters.
Yeah, young master debaters. And Charlie Kirk found that funny.
You should laugh at that. That's objectively funny.
But
I pray
Christy
that
Nome,
we eventually get made fun of by
someday,
South Park.
please,
So
please.
awesome.
I want a South Park. I want a South Park episode about it.
That's when we will know we made it.
But Christy Nome was super offended by it.
Really?
Yeah, they made fun of her looks and how she, some days looks great and how she, her hair extensions or whatever she does.
She gets
she's
herself
into being
way
pretty.
Too made up.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be on an ice raid, and she looks like she's going out on a date.
Right, and she keeps shooting dogs. Every time when she goes on the ice raid, she shoots dogs. So they're making fun of that too. And I mean, it's but I don't think Christy Nome's reaction is the typical conservative reaction, because conservatives don't mind being made fun of. I love going on TikTok and watching people make fun of us. In fact, we now have hired someone. We have the new, and you haven't met her much. You've just talked on the phone with Mitzi. Mitzi Mathers is her name, and she is doing our social media and responding to people who criticize us. And I think she's very funny because she kind of has our own sense of humor. And I told her, you just let it go. You can debate these people online. Don't get into them. Don't insult them. I told her. I said, but she's very funny. And
good.
I was looking at TikTok, and one person said, your podcast sucks, but yet you keep doing it. And Mitzi's response to this was, well, yes, we do. And that's exactly why we keep doing it, is because it sucks. Right. Sort of there are plenty of good podcasts out there. There's Sage Steele, and there's Megyn Kelly, and there's Charlie Kirk. There needs to be sort of that overnight, late night podcast that, remember, late night TV always was so horrible if you turned it on in the middle of the night. We need the same thing in podcasts. That can be us.
Good.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We got that covered.
All right, moving on. So stupid journalist tricks. We're just going to talk about this, and it's sort of like stupid Democrat tricks. I'm not even going to.
Journalist and Democrat is the same thing. Let's face it. These days,
I'm not even going to. Because we're running a little bit long, I'm not even going to play the clip because it's so dumb. Jim Acosta decided that he was going to interview an AI version of one of the victims of the Parkland massacre, and who died in the Parkland massacre.
Right.
And I can't believe that he did this, and I can't believe that Jim Acosta's just a hack and a moron. He's like Terry Moron.
Yes.
I can't believe that he thought that this would be something that people would accept. I mean, he's basically...
It was universally panned. It was so ghoulish and weird. And so you're interviewing a kid that died when he was a little kid, or whatever age he was when he died. And so now you've made him into an adult because it's an AI version of what this kid would have become if he had lived. And it's just, I'm not going to blame the parents. You lose a child. It's horrible. I would never be able to imagine that. So, and who knows what you would do if you lost a child. So the parents get a pass. They're involved with this. But Jim Acosta should have said to the parents, you know what, we're not going to do this. I'll interview you. Interview the parents. If you want to do gun control, great. Do a thing about gun control. Talk to the father. Say to the father, it was a tragedy. You lost your son. You want gun control. Let's talk about it. That's a perfectly legitimate way to do it. But to make a fake version of a dead child is bizarre. Bizarre.
Yeah.
And a terrible idea. Don't do this.
And it's so insulting. Like, what, can we make a fake version of JFK? An AI
guess.
version of
And ask him
JFK and
questions?
ask
Yeah.
him about Donald Trump? I mean, is that where we're going to go with this?
I would say so. And AI is not perfected yet, so these answers that this fake person gave were so stilted, and it was so obviously fake. And like, apparently AI is programmed, if you ask it a question like, AI, what's the best restaurant? It'll be like, the best restaurant is Jose's Tacos. What do you think about that? It will always ask you a question, because I guess it's programmed to like have a conversation. So every question that Jim Acosta asked the AI would then ask him a question back, and he would answer. It's like, dude, you're talking to your computer. Like, this is not a person. Your computer is programmed to ask you questions. The whole thing was bizarre. Please stop doing this.
Yeah, stop. Hopefully that is the last time any
I
journalist will ever try that. So
he got a lot of shit.
Let Jim Acosta do it. Let him make a fool of himself. And journalists, don't start interviewing AI versions of people who have died tragically.
Correct. Don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now we're moving on to non-serious media schmedia stuff and into a little personal storytelling. And a funny thing occurred to me. My wife and I were talking about something this week that I had to pass along to you, and that was a time that we were very lucky, and I think we were the last to ever do it. Kiss used to, the band Kiss used to take some fans, like if you would make a donation to a certain charity, they would let you ride on their private jet with them and go to a concert with them and go backstage. We had this very fun time where we went with the guys from Kiss, had lunch with Gene Simmons, and went for a ride with them. But we basically got to hang out with these guys and, talk to them. And the guys in Kiss are super nice guys, man. They are the nicest group of guys in a band that I've ever met. But and I'll show you a couple of pictures here that go along with this as I explain this story to you. So as you can see on your screen here, here we are on the jet. This is Doc McGee over here. This is Paul Stanley right here. This is the lead guitarist. There's my wife. There I am. Here we are in the other photo. There we are standing outside of it with Gene Simmons.
Nice.
And on this particular the funny part of the trip that I told you was when my wife decided that she wanted to ask a certain question of Paul Stanley. And she said, what, Paul, is the song Lick It Up? What is that
the one she's
song
confused about?
That's the song my wife
Seems
was
pretty
confused about, is what the song Lick It Up was about. Now, and that was the only funny part about it, because Paul didn't even want to answer the question. He simply said, sweetheart, that song is about whatever you want it to be about.
That's a good answer. It's not like you're asking about the meaning of Hotel California, where there's like all sorts of possible explanations. I'm pretty sure Lick It Up is about licking it up. Like, I don't think there's anything else going on. I think it's not deep, and it's not
and Kiss
serious.
songs, for the most part, are not deep. I mean, Beth is maybe the deepest one of all.
Yeah.
But
or actually, the one that's super deep is I Want to Rock and Roll All Day and Party Every Night. Now that one,
I think it's all night and party every day.
Every day. Okay, I got
get the lyrics. I got to sing that song with Kiss on stage once.
Right.
So that was my other fun thing that I got to do with Kiss. So I had lots of fun with those guys, and they're great guys.
Very cool.
Yeah, too bad they're retired. I think apparently they are really retired now. And get this, they're making AI versions of themselves with the holograms and stuff like ABBA did. So Kiss may last forever. And then we can have AI writing new Kiss songs and new Kiss albums. So, maybe.
The Howard Stern Show pranked Gene Simmons. They got him where they were asking him whether he would agree to different products. And he literally agreed. Like, there was a Kiss tampon, a Kiss douche, like all kinds of crazy shit. And Gene was like, yeah, that sounds fun.
Do it.
Like, there is no product that Gene will not approve. If it's making money for Gene, he's approving it. And it has the Kiss logo on it. He's fine with that. And why not a kiss tampon?
Well,
I mean, that sounds fine.
Funny story, that day that we had lunch with Gene Simmons, we're sitting here and this other couple comes walking in and Gene says, I hope you don't mind, I've got to do a little business. This is my insurance broker and I've got to work out some of my insurance details over lunch. So we sat there and listened to Gene Simmons talk about his life insurance and his various insurances with his insurance guy, and I just thought, this is so Gene Simmons, that he can't just have lunch with a couple of fans. He needs to make it into something. And the whole time, they're sliding him albums and pictures, and he's signing the whole time. He's just sitting there signing while he's talking to you, and he's signing all his autograph on everything known to man. I mean, there were baseballs.
All money-making.
It's all money-making for Gene Simmons. That's what he is all about. He is a good guy, too. Yep. All right. Hey, before we go to break real quick, we need to talk about your internet arguing problem, Bob.
Oh, yeah. This is something, my best girl has a real problem with me, and you said something about it. So here's the thing. I mean,
you argue with strangers, like perfect
I do argue with strangers.
Do you stop on the street and argue with strangers?
No, and that's the thing. I never talk to strangers on the street, never. And if I saw two people on the street and they were like having a conversation, and I would not walk up to them and be like, hey, what are you guys talking about? Can I give my opinion on this thing that you're talking about? I would not do that. But my theory is if you put something on the internet, you're saying, hey, internet, this is what I think about this topic. I'm putting it here so everyone else will give me their opinion on this thing I think. And so I give my opinion. So is that wrong? Should I not be giving my opinion on the internet?
Well, I think you should save your opinions for the show. That's what, because, why bother with people?
Right. Why waste my time giving out these valuable, stupid opinions?
Yeah, that's why I do it. Or just let Mitzi Mathers do it. Mitzi can argue with people on our behalf from now on. That's why we hired her. That's why we pay her. We now have someone.
A social media.
Leave it to Mitzi. I don't know Mitzi. I mean, I want to ask her. Like, it can't be her. It must be a nickname, right? Mitzi.
Guess, yeah.
I think it's probably Melissa. And I should probably find this out before I cut the first paycheck, because I'm going to have to get a social security number or something. Somehow to keep track of Mitzi. But so I'll find out. I believe it's probably Melissa, and it's like Mitzi or something. I don't know what the nickname or the full name for a Mitzi would be. You don't know many Mitzies. There aren't a lot of Mitzies.
I don't think I've ever known a Mitzi. That's the first one.
Anyway. All right, that'll take us to break.
You're listening to Barrett and Baxa, Media Schmedia. Real stories, raw takes, and the slow, strange death of traditional media.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are ready for a statement from the OBB. That is the Office of Bob Baxa. A new statement coming in from the OBB. Bob, tell us about this. This is apparently five tricks for your dog.
Yeah, there's actually more than 5. But so you guys are constantly saying that we are in a cult. It's constant. I constantly
we being you?
hear the Trump supporters. That Trump supporters are in a cult, and I constantly have people say to me, just admit you're in a cult. You're a cult leader. Just admit you're in a cult. And I've always been like, fine, if this is a cult, I have no problem with it. But it got me thinking that the anti-Trump, the Trump derangement cult, or we'll call it the TDC, you guys display virtually every warning sign of cult-like behavior. So I actually looked up some warning signs of a cult. And the TDC displays so many of these. So one of them is no criticism is permitted of the group or leader. The leader is always right. Now, your cult is like a reverse cult. So the leader is, in your case, is always wrong. No praise is ever permitted of Trump. Trump is always wrong. Okay. Another one, the group or leader has the only correct answers. In your opinion, Trump is always wrong. Everything Trump says is wrong.
So it's like the reverse.
It's a reverse. Yes, it's a reverse cult. Let me give you an example. We can all agree certain experiences are positive or negative. So I think if you went out into take politics out of it, go out into the country and find 10,000 random Americans and say to them, I'm going to tell you a little situation, and you tell me, is this a positive thing or a negative thing? A little boy is 12 years old. He had cancer. This little boy always wanted to become a police officer. This little 12-year-old boy was cured of his cancer. He no longer has cancer. And so to celebrate the fact that he no longer has cancer, the local police department made him into an honorary police officer. Ask 1,000 people, is that a positive story or a negative story?
Obviously positive.
Obviously positive. Now, look at the State of the Union. See where I'm going here?
Yeah, I see
the
where you're
only
going.
way
I think
that
everybody
story,
knew where you were going from the moment you started this example.
That story can be negative is if the little boy is standing near Donald Trump. And now, F him and his cancer. Who cares? We're not going to clap for him. He's a jerk. Who cares? So, like, it becomes a negative because it's near Trump. Here's another one. The ends justify the means. It's okay to lie to others, etc., in furtherance of the cause. It's okay to lie about Trump. It's okay to come up with fake criminal charges against him. It's okay to do anything as long as the goal is getting Trump. Those who leave are shunned. They become the enemy or objects of pity. Any person who becomes a Trump supporter becomes the object of pity. Not answering questions.
Well, Jimmy Fallon and Greg Gutfeld are a perfect example of that, because now people are screaming at Fallon as if he was supposed to get hard with Greg Gutfeld on the show instead of being nice to Greg Gutfeld.
Calling it a softball interview. And then another one is not answering questions or turning them back on the questioner. Again, the Trump hatred cult never can answer exactly why they hate him. It's just, we hate Trump. Go to any one of these rallies and ask the person, why are you here? Because Trump. What about Trump? Because everything about him. Okay, give us one example. Trump sucks. Leave me alone. So, I mean, out of these 9 warning signs of a cult, the Trump hatred cult easily fits like 5 or 6 of them. So I think that you guys are clearly
So you're not in the cult. They are in the cult.
You are in the cult.
Yeah.
And the reason you accuse others of being in a cult is because you are in a cult. So there you go.
Warning signs of a cult. There we go.
There you go.
So let's get back to that Greg Gutfeld thing. I thought it was bold for Jimmy Fallon to invite Greg Gutfeld on his show.
Definitely.
And I think that there was some planning of this, and I think that they decided, wait a second, we really need to start thinking about not being so left-leaning in our comedy shows, because these comedy shows have turned into nothing but
there's no comedy.
Yeah, there's no comedy left in it, and it was a very funny interview, but he's taking a lot of shit for it.
It's so weird
right now. I want to show you. This is just a headline. This is a headline right here that I think you sent it to me. Yeah. So, okay, this is a comedy show, right? You would think that it's supposed to be lighthearted, but here's the Independent saying, Friday, August 8th, this is right after he went on the show. The next morning, Jimmy Fallon hosts one of Trump's favorite Fox News personalities for softball interview amid president's cancellation threats.
Okay, how many different bullshits can you have in one headline? First of all, okay, maybe he's one of Trump's favorite Fox News personalities. What does that have to do anything? So right there, that's weird to put in a headline. The word softball. Softball is when you ask Joe Biden when he's president, when Howard
ask him
Stern
about ice cream.
Ask him about ice cream, or ask him what it was like to be a lifeguard. That's where you use the word softball, when you ask soft, silly questions to a politician.
Well, you
Greg
can't bring
Gutfeld
in...
is a talk show host. What are you supposed to ask him? He's a talk show host. He's not a politician. So the word softball, and then amid Trump's cancellation, like what?
What does that have to do with anything? I think they're referring to Colbert.
But that has nothing to do with Trump. It's because he was losing money. So no one is in danger of being canceled because of Trump. They're getting canceled because these entities that own these shows realize that if you own a business, if you own an ice cream store, and you put a sign on the door, "We hate Republicans, do not even think of buying ice cream here," your store is not going to do very well because you're telling half of your customers you don't want their money. And that's what these shows are doing. And they're telling half of the people, F you.
Yeah, and I think it was a great thing for Gutfeld to do because, I mean, Gutfeld is top of the food chain right now in late-night comedy shows. I mean, he is basically the regular ratings dominant guy. And he went on what can be considered a lesser show. You know, I mean, The Tonight Show's been around forever, so you can't really call it a lesser show. But it's very bold of him to say, no, I'll go on the other show, the competition that I happen to be beating, and I will talk to Jimmy Fallon. And I'm going to go, you know, I mean, he could have been booed when he walked out. He was not. He was cheered. No. And he all of his jokes could have like fallen flat. They did not. People thought he was funny, which tells me that if the left would just open up their minds a little bit and say, hey, can we make fun of ourselves a little bit? You know, can we make fun of Jazzy Crockett? Can we make fun of some of these other morons that do stupid Democrat tricks? If they
Dude,
just
it goes
would...
back to the cult thing. No, number 8, no criticism is permitted of the group or leader. The reverse of that, no positive statements are permitted about Trump or conservatives. So you're not allowed to say anything other than negative about Trump and about conservatives. And that's why you can't do a funny joke about Democrats because that will come across as saying something positive about Trump. Like they see everything as a binary. And Colbert doesn't even do jokes. He just makes statements and the audience claps. You know, he'll be like, we F these stupid tariffs, and the audience cheers, and it's like, where's the joke? I mean, isn't this a comedy show?
Here's a funny one of on Gutfeld's show the day after he went on that show. One of his jokes was something to the effect of, I was as I was driving back, I was telling my Uber driver about being on the Tonight Show, and he popped up and he. As a picture of his Uber driver, he popped up Stephen Colbert. Like Colbert's going to be driving an Uber soon.
That's a joke. That's a
funny joke. Yes.
They don't do jokes on these other shows.
And Colbert should think
Jimmy
that's a
Fallon
funny
is
joke. Colbert should be comedian enough to say, yes, that was a funny joke about me.
Right.
All right. Okay.
And now Jimmy Fallon's apologizing for not being tough enough with Greg Gutfeld. It's so lame,
it's so
man.
ridiculous.
It really is.
All right. Our funny joke about you is that you make up words like want.
Yes,
what is want?
Want is WONTH, and that stands for We Only Need the Headline. Certain articles, and actually that one right there about Jimmy Fallon, we really could have just used that headline and talked about it. But there's a lot of funny stories that pop across like my feed, or I just see them, where the headline itself is so funny and so ridiculous, or it makes like such a radical anti-Trump point, or it's like so politically biased that all you need is the headline. So Steve's going to read a few of these.
All right.
Funny.
Here's a want.
Okay.
Couple leaves child behind at airport to make their flight. Where did this really happen?
This really happened. Yeah, I don't know what the backstory is. Apparently, the kid. I don't know. I just thought, wow, that's pretty crazy. I've been about to miss a flight, but it never occurred to me to leave my child behind. Like I feel like I would just also miss the flight.
Did they forget to buy their child a ticket?
I don't know. Something weird.
Grandma
I have a feeling
pick the kid up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
All right, another want. Tow truck driver carjacked by man with rock.
This happened in Washington,
It's got two elements to it. One, the rock, and two, a tow truck.
How do you carjack a tow truck driver? So you carjacked his tow truck. This happened in Washington,
and were you going to go
so
steal another car and tow that car?
Good question. I actually heard this on our local
so many
station.
questions.
The guy apparently had a big rock in his hand. The tow truck was stopped at a light. The guy came up, and I guess he threatened to hit the tow truck driver in the head with the rock. And the tow truck driver got out of the truck, and the guy took his tow truck. So I don't know if he was planning on repoing any cars or
Did
what.
Did the tow truck driver not have a heavy crowbar of some kind?
I don't know. But we need more rock control. I mean, they always talk about gun control. What about rock control?
Rock control, yeah. We should ban rocks.
Need more of that.
All
yes,
right.
we should.
New York City No, New York opens city's first shelter for transgender homeless people.
I saw this. It seems like this is not like. Is there that many homeless transgender people? Like maybe there are, but
and do you
that
think
seems
that
like
homeless
a
people
really...
are like, well, I don't really want to go to a shelter with men or women. I want to go.
I want
to
my
the
own
transgender.
Yeah, I don't know.
How does that
Seems
happen?
like a very niche type of situation that couldn't possibly have enough people. But who knows? In New York, I don't know. Having been to a homeless shelter, I can tell you they're generally pretty shitty. So maybe this is something good for transgender people. I don't know.
All right,
I thought that was interesting.
Let's go to the quickies now. We're going to do some quickies. You noticed this week that the guy who played Chewbacca, who was in the Chewbacca suit, right?
Yes.
Gets to have is basically selling his autograph
on Cameo.
and selling little clips on Cameo.
Right. So if you don't know, a Cameo is an app where old washed some actually real stars, like you can get Tom Brady, but you get for a price. You hire a person to make you a little video, like a happy birthday, an anniversary. I actually got Kevin from The Office to congratulate my best girl's daughter, and it was perfection, absolute perfection. Kevin nailed it. And in fact, his name is Brian Baumgartner. He is the highest grossing celebrity on Cameo. He makes over $1 million a year. Yeah.
Just on Cameo.
You think about it, Kevin is so perfect because he's ultra famous. Everyone knows The Office.
Right.
Everyone knows who Kevin is. And he's like the perfect kind of guy that it's just funny. Even just to look at him is funny. And when he says something, it's funny. So like he's got such a perfect little area where he can make these things. But anyway, the guy who's inside the Chewbacca costume, I don't even know his name, but how would you know it's him? He will make you a cameo for $75. So, I mean, how do we know it's not just some random guy who stole the Chewbacca costume and is now charging $75? Like, it seemed...
I haven't even...
that?
I have an even deeper
that?
Star Wars question, okay? I understand why you need a person in the Chewbacca suit. Like, Chewbacca's kind of like a Bigfoot and needs to move around like a human.
Right.
Why do you need someone inside of R2-D2? Couldn't
That
they have
seems
made?
weird.
I mean, they had the technology to make a little remote control R2-D2 and have him beep and have his head spin. Why do they need a human inside of R2-D2? Never
and
made sense.
apparently there was, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't there a guy in there?
Yep. There was a little person
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah,
Definitely
you don't need that. And another Hollywood-related thing, you thought it was funny when you found out that Toto, speaking of little people, Toto made more money than the actors who played Munchkins.
According to the internet, I can't 100% say this is true, but Toto the dog, that dog's real name was not Toto, but the dog who played Toto made more per week than MGM paid each of the Munchkin actors. That they actually paid more to Toto, which, knowing what you know about Hollywood and how, let's face it, little people were not treated well in 1939, I actually believe that they considered Toto to be more important to the movie, and they paid Toto more money than the Munchkins, according to the internet. So, but it does seem plausible to me.
Okay, according to the internet also, and I haven't been able to confirm this, and I tried, and I'm not sure, but apparently Sydney Sweeney, they're doing a new set of ads with Sydney Sweeney's friends, and she has friends of different races that they already, and maybe it's in anticipation of the outrage, they had made ads with her friends saying her friends have good genes, and one of them's like an Indian woman, a Hispanic woman, a black woman, an Asian woman. So apparently, if that is true and these ads are going to be rolling out, then maybe American Eagle thought it through and knew that this was coming, and they wanted to go in your face. You know what I mean? In your face, Harold. And so
from the five,
and also that apparently that ad campaign has led to a new trend that people are even more angry about, called rush talk, which is going back to the sorority girls dancing in front of their sorority houses, which has happened before. But now there's a whole new wave of these Rush Talk videos, which is a whole sorority dancing and having fun. And now they're saying, oh, this is racist too because of sororities. I don't.
Apparently there's one really famous one, and they clearly had about 8 girls who have maybe not professional, but have like real dance ability. So they put those 8 up front, and then the whole rest of the sorority house, and you're talking like it's clearly a group of over 100 girls. It's a gigantic sorority, and they're all in the behind, and then like 6 or 8 are up front, and they're doing like a pretty well choreographed dance, and it's a recruitment video, and everyone's up in arms because there are no black chicks. It's all white girls, but this is a non-story. Many sororities are one race. I mean, there's tons of black sororities. From what I understand, there are all-white sororities. I doubt that they would be allowed to have a rule that we don't allow black women, but I think that's just the way it worked out. Or who knows? Maybe there is an overt, sort of desire for them to be all white. But the thing that I noticed about it is that all of the women were attractive, or at least from what I could tell, these were all attractive women. And the other thing that I loved about it is none of these women appear to have a penis. So these all appear to be all appear to be non-penis women that seem relatively attractive. So I'm in favor of this trend. I liked it.
Okay. All right, here's a quickie with a video. And it's a very funny one. It's Media Schmedia related. And I get Time Magazine has been caught faking starving children. And it's pretty obvious. This guy turns out a good video that shows how bad this deception was by Time Magazine. So let's share this, and we're going to hit play.
So this was the cover of the Time Magazine. It's dramatic, it's emotional, it screams, Palestinians are starving. But here's what they didn't show you. This was staged. A photographer literally lined up children like props, told them to hold empty pots. There is no food for them to get, you see. And the Time ran it as news. If the situation is really that tragic, why in the world do you need to stage it?
Perfect
example.
Example of the new kind of journalism where a legacy magazine is being called out for completely faking their cover. And his point is dead on, is spot on. I'm not saying there aren't starving children in Palestine right now. What I'm saying is Time Magazine, take a real fucking picture of it.
Exactly. Sam Kinison used to have the best joke when he would talk about those starving children pictures that, they would be like...
Go to where the food is.
But then his other joke was, I know that the cameraman could have given that kid a sandwich. The cameraman had a sandwich in his pocket. He could have given the kid. And it's a good point. And it kind of fits with this. They're not starving in this picture. The picture is totally fake. It's set up picture. There was no food there. So it was just, they said to a bunch of people, hold up these empty pots. As if people are showing up with pots. Can I please have food in my pot? Mm-hmm. The whole thing is fake. And Time has been busted. So yeah, that's a good example.
All right. A Denmark zoo wants your pets. This is a real thing, Bob. This zoo in Denmark has said, hey, if your pet dies, bring us the carcass and we'll feed it to our...
tigers.
Feed it to our tigers. So
that's horrible. I don't want to do that.
I can't believe they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, they're getting very bad press for this. I guess they would do it at night. Nobody wants to see the tiger eating a dog. Like, that would be highly upsetting. Although there is a very famous video of a they had 2 orphan tiger cubs whose mother died, and the cubs were very little, and there was a golden retriever that someone had who was nursing. So they brought the golden retriever mother, and the tiger cubs nursed on her, and they grew up 100% believing that she was their mother. And so you got these full-grown tigers, and she would snap at them, and they completely obeyed her. Wow. So that was kind of a funny video. But this is not that. This is
feeding your pet to tigers in Denver.
Not a good thing. No, I'm not in favor of that.
All right, I have a good picture to share for you here.
All right.
What do you think of that, Bob? Look at that.
Is that Zoltar?
No, it's not Zoltar. It's Trumptar. Zoltar has been replaced by
Wow.
Donald Trump.
Nice.
Look at that. That's in
From
Wisconsin
the movie
Dells.
Big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
good.
picture sent by Steve's sister Carrie. Sent us
Nice.
this picture and noticed that.
Is that an outhouse next to it? Why is
Yes,
there an outhouse?
that's in case you have TDS and
sick.
you need to throw
Right.
up when you
That's
see
pretty
Trump.
Good. They made Zoltar into Trump.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I'm
Zoltar
in
is
favor of
Trump,
that.
and apparently
Nice.
he's got all the answers. It's kind of like what
Right.
you've got your
My,
little magic 8-ball.
President Predicto, yes.
President Predicto. All right, very good.
Yes, that is
very
good.
good. All right, moving on to pet peeves now. Pet
Yes.
peeves. What do you have for us, Bob?
What was
bugging you
I
this
know
week?
I had the one was why do people put grave sites on the side of the highway? This is kind of weird to me. I thought I see this all the time because I'm on the highway all the time. People will set up like an actual cross and flowers and like balloons on this right on the grass on the side of the highway. Clearly someone died there, but in the way I look at it, isn't that why we have cemeteries? Like I thought the place you go to sort of, reflect upon your loved one is the cemetery. Like that's where they're laid to rest. They're in the cemetery. You bring flowers. You bring
Maybe
balloons.
they want to mark where the person died.
Like, obviously they do, but
Well,
I do
if I was
not
driving down the
understand that.
highway on my way to work, I wouldn't. And my daughter or someone I knew had been.
I wouldn't want to
killed in a
see the
car crash.
spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be reminded every single
very
time.
common.
And I don't. If I die in a car crash, Bob, don't let anybody do that because I don't
I
want
won't.
people driving by going, "That's where Steve
Right,
died."
that's where Steve
I-
died. And then my other
don't
one
do
is
that.
also driving related. I'm seeing this more and more, a new trend. Someone will write like, that white stuff that you could write on your window. Like it's not chalk, but whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
People write on their windows and they'll say like, today's my 21st birthday. Help me celebrate. And it'll have a Venmo. Or today we got married. Help us start our life. And it'll have a Venmo. So people are now begging strangers on their car on the highway to send them money. I kind of am interested to know how much they're making. Like maybe I need to get in on
Maybe we
this.
should do that. Maybe we
Maybe.
should just put a Venmo at the bottom of the
Right.
Barrett Backs
Send us
podcast.
money
Send
to
us
make
money
this better.
to
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So-
Isn't that what Patreon is? I think that's the
Pretty
new
much.
social
Yeah.
media thing. It's not really social
Yeah.
media, but you can actually just pay the people that you like to listen to.
Correct.
To talk more.
To do whatever, yeah.
So my
So
pet
those are
peeve.
my two.
Yeah, my pet peeve, we've kind of already talked about it. I guess I got into it earlier, but my pet peeve is how often I'm brought to tears by people calling me an old white guy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really, really makes me sad because there's nothing worse than being insulted about your age, your race, and your gender all at once. And
it really is sad.
It makes me, I want to go upstairs and cry right now because people
Keep
are going
those
to, they're going to
insults
watch
coming.
this podcast again, and
Yeah.
somebody's going to go, "Hey, old white guy, what are you doing
Stupid
a
old
podcast?
boomers."
How can
Right.
you, as a boomer, even figure out how to work the podcast equipment?" Well, I'm a highly trained broadcast professional, so
Correct. We
I
know what
can
we're
operate the equipment just fine. And if you don't like what you're hearing, don't listen.
Don't listen. It's very simple. It's
Super
so
simple.
Yeah, you can
And
just turn it off.
Even our
You know,
shorts on
just
TikTok. I mean,
scroll
you don't.
past it.
Thousands
Yeah.
of people don't have to look at those.
Correct.
They
So
could just ignore
it's
them.
Very, very simple.
Swipe
Yeah.
right or left.
But we
or-
love when you make a comment because then it helps the algorithm and we do better. So
Yeah.
feel free to tell us how bad we suck.
Yeah, and hit like and share and do all
Yep.
of those things that everyone
You're
loves
supposed to do.
podcasters to
Yeah.
do. And you're
right.
going to hear it again as we
My
roll
shirt is,
the close. Proud to be everything liberals hate.
That's
That
me.
could be a good slogan for you.
Yeah,
Bob
proud to be
Baxa,
everything
proud
liberals.
to be everything
White
liberals
Christian
hates.
male. I'm a white Christian male, and I'm proud of all those things. So
Wait
there
till
you go.
beards go out of style, and then
Right, I'm
it'll be
keeping
even
mine.
worse. Because
Yep.
you know that soon the beard will be seen as a masculine thing because men wear beards.
Right.
And can only really grow beards, so that
Right.
will be a masculine
That'll be
thing.
bad, like a patriarchy thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
patriarchy.
it might become a negative. Good point. I'm
All
keeping
right.
mine.
All right,
All right,
enough of
Brandon.
this show for today.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye, everyone.
Well, that's it for this episode of Barrett and Baxa Media Schmedia. Like, subscribe, and do all that other stuff podcasts want you to do. Become one of the chosen few, the in crowd. You know, the cool kids, the ones who were passed out on Barrett's pool deck long after the party ended.